This is the hexdevs podcast. Hi, I am Tiago.
And I'm Stephanie.
Dmitrii is a full stack software engineer, traveler, and maker. He's a digital nomad living in Bali and recently quit his job so he could travel and build a business. We met because we are both doing the 12x Startup Challenge and we are building 12 startups in 12 months. I'm actually a little bit behind on that, but I will catch up soon. And Dmitrii is now building Learning Story, a community for people who want to learn in public. So if you're interested in learning and building in public, sign up for Learning Story. We're going to leave the link on the description.
This episode will be a little different. Dmitrii will be asking us some questions about moving to Canada because he wants to do it. So he's living in Bali now, but he's thinking about moving to Canada in the future. And in a future episode, we will talk more about his projects and the nomad life because I'm really curious about that kind of stuff as well. But I think we thought that it would be a great opportunity for us to share our story about moving to Canada and help others. We're also thinking of writing a short guide with more information about that. So maybe share some documents that we used and resources and things like that to get the visa and all of that. So in case you're interested in that sort of stuff, you can sign up for the wait list. If we have enough people interested, we will write more about it. And if you ever wanted to move to Canada, this is the time because Canada is planning on bringing more than 1 million immigrants in the next 3 years. So that's the best time to come to Canada. So Dmitrii, welcome. How's your first project going for the 12x startups?
Yeah, hello guys. Thank you for having me. So far, so good. It's only the first project, so I haven't launched it yet, but it's going to be soon, probably end of this month or start of the next month. I'm a bit late as well. So far, so good, but I'm not sure what challenges going to be ahead of me. It's probably marketing and sales, which I'm pretty weak in this skills because I'm a software engineer with all technical background and that's all. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm very excited to see how it's ended up and if I can manage to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's great. Like, I think all engineers have this weak spot. Like sales and marketing is always not that easy for us. Yeah. So, what sort of questions do you have about moving to Canada? I guess you have a list.
Yeah, true. So yeah, I'm a little prepared. Let's see. Well, first of all, probably, why did you choose Canada? What's the best thing about this country? How do you choose this country? Because there's plenty of options. There's Australia, Europe, United States. Why did you choose Canada?
Yeah, for us, we always wanted to move abroad, and initially we thought about going to Europe. So I even went to an event, a hiring event in Lisbon a couple of years ago, and I even got some I talked to a couple of companies in Europe, and I even got some job opportunities there. But my wife used to live in Portugal, and we decided to not go there because of they were having some financial issues in Portugal, in Europe at the time. And so we thought that it wouldn't be a good idea to go there. And so we said, okay, so where else would we be able to go? And then I always wanted to move to North America. And so I went to this website called VanHack. And it's a website where they help you find a job abroad. So they help you get a job in Canada or Europe. So they have some opportunities there. And I decided to give it a try. So I just saw a job opportunity that seemed interesting. So I had the right background for that. So I work with Ruby on Rails. And so the first job that I applied to, I got an interview with the company, and then they wanted to hire me. So that was pretty interesting because I wasn't really prepared or anything to move to Canada. And it was kind of interesting. Like you could say it's destiny or something. And so they hired me and they helped me with the visa process and all of that. And they are based in Vancouver. So I never heard about Vancouver before, to be honest with you. But then we thought about it, and we look at the website, and we look at the ways that you could get a visa and all of that. And then I heard that there's a really cool, really easy way to get a work permit here. And so that's how I got the job here. And then we moved here like 6 months later. So I guess like it was kind of an accident, but it was also like we thought that it would be a good place to be, and it's a good country. So that's how we got here. And maybe Stephanie can talk a little more about it.
Yeah, I would say that we didn't exactly choose Canada. I think it was like a distant place, and I don't know, we never actually planned for coming to Canada. We initially thought that going to Australia would be easier, but it is actually way harder. They are not so immigrant friendly as Canada. Like Thiago said, I think it was like it was supposed to happen. So we started looking for some videos from Brazilian people living in Canada, and most of them, they were living in Toronto. So for us, it was kind of weird to go to Vancouver, but honestly, I can't think of any other city that it would be best for us.
Nice. Yeah, it's interesting because for me, it's actually a bit different because I'm choosing Canada because of this is Canada. So at first I choose the country, and then I started to think about how to get there, how to find a job, etc. For me, Canada has the best immigration program in terms of you don't tie up to your job if you get a permanent residence. That's the main reason why I want to go to Canada, because I want to be kind of free, so I can quit my job and I can travel, etc. Because most of the countries I considered, it was Germany, Netherlands, Australia as well, United States, they all tie you to your job. And if you quit your job, you need to find another one within 3 months. So yeah, that's cool. And what was the process? So you get the job, you came to Canada in 6 months. So what took the 6 months? You find the job, but then the document, etc., processing for 6 months, right?
Yeah. So actually, we were thinking about moving abroad, and we started saving some money and all of that. But we thought that it would take a while to do that. But when I got the job here with the company is called Predictable Revenue. So they offered me the job, and I started working for them right away. So the team was working remotely anyway, so to them it was an easy decision. And so I started working for them in Brazil. And what happened was that there is this type of visa process called Global Skills, and it's a very nice process because you can get a visa in 2 weeks. So after the company does the paperwork and submits the paperwork to immigration, they will look at your documentation, and they will respond in 2 weeks. So it's a pretty awesome visa process. And so for me, what happened was the company wanted to hire me, and they said they would sponsor the visa for me. And then they used the Global Skills visa process to do that. And then they took a while to figure out the paperwork and all of that. So it took them like a month to do that, maybe a month or two, just to figure out the paperwork, to do the paperwork. But after they submitted the information to the immigration, we got a response from them in 2 weeks. So it was pretty quick. And then after that, I had to do some paperwork on my side, like prove that I have the experience and things like that. And I have to like prepare some letters and all of that, and do and then send the information for them. and I guess I paid $1,000 for the process. But then it was the same thing. Like I submitted a paperwork for immigration, and then in about 2 or 3 weeks, they got back to me and they said, okay, we're going to let you come to Canada and we're going to give you a work permit. You had to do like a medical exam and etc. After that, we just had to submit our passports for like the Canadian office in Brazil, like immigration office or something. And then they gave us the visa to come to Canada. And then when we got here, in the airport, they got us the work permit. So it was a pretty quick process. So the time, I think the most of the time was just like us figuring out the paperwork and the company having to write a bunch of stuff. But in terms of the visa process, it was pretty quick, like 2 weeks from the company and then 2 weeks to get back to me. And it was pretty quick. So the global skills visa is pretty cool. But the difference is that it's not a permanent residency. So they give you a work permit, and the work permit, usually you are tied to the company. So on the work permit, they said, oh, you have to work for this company. Sometimes they don't do that, but usually they do. And so you get tied to the company, and your work permit lasts for 2 years. I guess, yeah. So the visa lasts for 2 years, and my spouse also gets a visa, also gets a work permit, which is pretty cool. So Stephanie could work as well. So yeah, but the PR, the permanent residency, we had to do another process after that. But like you're not obligated to do the global skills. You do if you want to, like if you think it's better for you. You do the global skills because you can also do the express entry and then get a permanent residency if you have the points. And we did that, but we were living in Canada already.
Yeah, that's cool. And how long does it take after you came to Canada and you get the permanent residency? So how long does this process take?
I was kind of anxious about being tied to the company. And even though the work permit was valid for 2 years, and of course we could renew it after that. So I think about 3 months after we got here, we went to an immigration consultant and we started the paperwork. Because Thiago had this program, or I don't know the exact term, but like he had the province invitation as a skilled worker that would add 400 points, I guess, to express entry. Yeah. If you choose this path, though, it takes way more time than if you just do the other permanent residencies express entry processes. The other ones might take like 3 months, but this one, it took them exactly 6 months to give us a response after we did all the steps. The reason why we chose this one was because we knew it would be like guaranteed, and we had the 2 years as a slack between the work permit expiration. We decided to do that because we wouldn't need to spend more money bringing other documentations, because you come from a country that doesn't speak English. You will have to translate everything, and that's like, yeah. So we got the PR, like the card, in March 2019, and we arrived here in January 2018. January, they said yes, you have an invitation for being permanent residents, and then it took them a few more time to invite us to get the card, but we were officially permanent residents in January. So you can be way faster than that, but we chose this one because it was the less expensive, and then we already knew we would get it, right? It was just a matter of waiting.
Yeah, sure. For you already been in Canada and you're already working, everything fine. So yeah, it's totally fine. yeah, I'm planning to go another way without the job permit. At least I start with this program where you can go to Canada and get permanent residency right away, but you need to get enough points. The points come uh, from your education, from your work experience, from English exam, etc., etc. And you can even check these points on the website. Probably going through these points, so we try this way because in that way we get the permanent residency right away. But we're curious how long should we wait after we go through the process, after we get the invitation, and then you need to wait. But according to the internet, it's about 6 months as well. Probably it take all the next year to go through all the process.
Yeah, so like if you're probably talking about the express entry, and if you have the
correct.
points, if you have the points to pass the express entry, I believe it's like 470 or something points you need. If you have the points, then it's the easiest way because you get the PR and you can come here and you can stay here forever, pretty much. And then for the express entry, I guess that if you have a degree and if you have at least like 2 or 3 years of work experience as a software engineer, you probably have enough points to pass, right? And then you only have to do the English test as well, and then just prove that you have the experience, that you have the degree. And then if your spouse also has a degree and also has work experience, that contributes. But pretty much like if you're a software engineer and you have like 2-3 years of experience and a degree, you can get the points. It's not that hard, to be honest.
Yeah, we checked. It's actually a funny process because it's like they leveling you as a person, like how good you were, how good you. And I tried my points, so I passed my degree, etc. And I don't have enough points, like maybe 100. I need 100 more. But luckily, my wife has a master degree and she had a work experience, and so she is going to be the main applicant, and I'm gonna go with her because she has enough points.
Is she an engineer as well?
She was in finance, so she had a master's in finance, but currently she works as a programmer as well because we work remotely and traveling, and finance is not the best profession to do remotely. So she self-taught her programming, and she works on it as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, like if you have a master's, it also helps a lot. Like I have a master's as well, but I didn't use that because I would have to like do more stuff, like prove that I have a master's and blah blah blah. But with the job here, it makes it easy for me. Like we had like almost, I think, yeah, we had enough points to get the PR, but we decided to apply for the province nomination, the BCPNP, because it would make our lives a little easier. Like we almost had enough points, you know. So, but if you have the points with your spouse, it's pretty straightforward, and it usually takes like 6 months for them to get back to you. Are you planning to and where do you want to go in Canada? Which city?
Well, actually, we can talk a little bit about the city as well, because I told you I choose the country, but it's probably not really correct because I choose the city. I really like Vancouver. It all started when I been thinking about living abroad, and I really like Seattle. So, but unfortunately, United States program currently is, well, unbearably hard. And to get H-1B, you need to go through the lottery, and it's also unstable. So yeah, and I started thinking, what's the similar city to Seattle? And I discovered Vancouver. It's actually they're pretty similar to each other. Well, they like 2 hours drive to each other, and I started to learn more and more about Vancouver. I really like it. Seems like city I really want to live. So how do you find the Vancouver? How the like general impression after you came there?
Yeah, so I really like it here. It's a great city, and it's like I said, it's very similar, I guess, to Seattle, but there's a lot of nature here. So you can go to the mountains, you can snowboard. We have beaches as well here. They're not as nice as the beaches in Brazil, but they are beaches anyway. But yeah, it's a really nice city. People are very friendly, and you also see a lot of immigrants here as well. So like, there's lots of Brazilians here, and yeah, it's a really nice city. And you also, like, for technology, there's a bunch of jobs here for technology as well. So it's pretty easy to get a job here as a developer. Another thing, like, if you're experienced, of course, it's easy. And there's also, like, some companies from the States are coming here, and they hire here as well. So we got Amazon coming, I think, in the next, like, they're opening up a new office here, which is going to be massive in, I think, in 2 years or something. So yeah, it's a very nice city. Maybe Stephanie can talk more about the city.
Yeah, I love Vancouver because you have so many nature things and free things to do as well, like nature. And coming from Brazil, I didn't feel safe just walking alone, and especially at night. And what I love here is that I don't have to worry about that. The tech industry here is pretty welcoming. Like, I think that I know almost everyone in the Ruby community, some people from the JavaScript community as well. Yeah, I think it's a great place. The only thing that I would recommend is asking how do you manage the winter, because like Vancouver is, the winter is not that extreme as the rest of the country, and that's what usually attracts more people. Rather, if you go to the other provinces, like in Halloween, it's already snowing. But there are some people that don't like the rain. It is really heavy rain during the fall and the winter. So it really, that's the only thing that I would recommend thinking a little bit about it. But it's something that also you have to come here and see it by yourself, I guess. It doesn't bother me that much, but sometimes it's really annoying to just have rain every day, all day. But you can't have everything. In terms of people, like Thiago said, there are lots of immigrants here, and I've never felt any discrimination regarding that. It might be possible that some people might have experienced some, discrimination from being immigrants. It hasn't happened to me. The only thing that was a little bit hard for me in the beginning was because when we got here, I only had 3 months of experience with software engineering, and I was an immigrant, so I didn't know anyone. I didn't have lots of experience. So it was a little bit hard for me to find something. However, if you get here with lots of experience and, you already have some products or a really good portfolio, it's definitely easier to get here and find something if you need.
Yeah, cool. And what about the IT scene in terms of meetups, conferences?
We used to go to lots of meetup. There is a Van Ruby. The React meetup is huge, and I started going because they are really friendly people. Like it's pretty nice to go, even though I don't actually work with JavaScript that much. Yeah, but there are lots of meetups. I've been to a couple of other non-coding meetups just to meet other people as well. There is also the Indie Hackers in Vancouver, which we started attending last year.
Yeah, it's really nice here. We used to go to the Ruby meetup, which is big here. JavaScript is big as well. The data science community is also really good. Yeah, so there are lots of meetups. Like we used to go to a different meetup like every week, usually, or sometimes 2 times a week. Not anymore, but yeah, there's also like a functional programming meetup as well. So yeah, it's really nice here.
Yeah, it sounds perfect because I was worried because when you, for example, Google something about Canada and programming, it's always Toronto that comes up. But I've been thinking about Toronto, but Vancouver I like more, at least for the description from you guys or from people from internet, because yeah, it's true. It's nature, it's city, it's like great weather, etc. And Toronto sounds more like a, I don't know, huge megapolis. I've already been living in huge megapolis in Russia, so I don't want to go back. And yeah, I think I'm looking for a city which is not so big, but also has the IT scenery and all the nature stuff, etc., etc. So yeah, Vancouver sounds perfect in that way.
So if you compare Vancouver to Toronto, I guess Toronto is just like São Paulo, so it's like a massive city, and they have probably more jobs, and they have more stuff related to technology. But then I guess Vancouver is more, I want to say, laid back. Like people here are friendly, and you have like work-life balance. And so I think that it's a nicer city. It's slower, I would say. It's a slower city in a way, but yeah, we have a bunch of stuff related to tech here, and it's a pretty nice city. I really like it.
Yeah, great. And in terms of weather, I grew up in Russia, so for me, weather is, especially in Vancouver, it's nothing, and I don't mind rain at all. So I actually think rain could be kind of cozy in some way. So yeah, it's for me it's perfect. Yeah, of course, when it's like 2 or 3 months straight rain, it's not ideal, but I don't mind it at all. For me, the most important thing is no longer see this -20 winters, which I experienced my whole life in Russia. So, but for you guys, it's still cold, right, compared to Brazil, even in Vancouver.
São Paulo gets to like maybe 4 when it's very, very cold. But I guess the weather is a little different. Like for example, so it's kind of a different weather. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the humidity or something. But like it doesn't feel very cold here. Like when it's like 4 degrees, it's not that bad here compared to São Paulo, where like if it's 4 degrees in São Paulo, it's terrible. It's very cold.
Cool. So yeah, I have one more question about city, and it's probably one of the most discussing topic on the internet is renting in Vancouver, because I believe I've read some, the tops, the most expensive cities in the world, and Vancouver always somewhere in the top 10. So how do you managing in terms of renting, and if you consider it buying maybe? So how really expensive it is? Because yeah, it's always a problem to immigrants to kind of get used to the new prices, etc.
Yeah, actually, so that's that's an interesting question, because when we got this opportunity and we were researching about Vancouver, we got really worried about that as well. Like, oh my God, it's one of the most expensive cities, and we don't like spending that much money, right? We try to keep our expenses low. So what I did was I literally typed on Google how to live cheap in Vancouver, and I found this website, this blog called Incoming Assets. I can leave the link in the description, and it's from a couple that they are pursuing FIRE as well, like financial independence, retirement early. They save up to, I think, 60% of their income, and they do not work on tech. And so we got lots of tips from them. We are actually friends with them as well, which is how we found out the Mr. Money Mustache meetup as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of our.
I know this guy.
Yeah, so they also have this local meetup here, and it's always great. It's always a great experience going there. So we knew that rent was very expensive, but we also knew that we do not need lots of things. So we came here and we were okay with paying for a smaller place, like a studio or, a bachelor, what they call here. And that's what we have been doing so far. We live in downtown, we live close to the beach, and we live in a studio. It's not that big, it's not that great, but we don't have lots of stuff and we don't need the space. And I would rather pay to live here and have access to everything that matters to us than going for a little bit further and paying the same just to have more space. So it depends on each case, but if we want to talk about numbers, let's say that you can find like one bedroom, a small one bedroom apartment in downtown for about 1,500 or so. That's a really basic one bedroom apartment. But then you can go up to, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. If you want a little bit more space, then what people usually do is they will go to the other cities around Vancouver, which is like Burnaby or Richmond or Surrey. And then you can get about the same or a little bit more for 1 or 2 bedrooms. Yeah, it really depends on what matters mostly to you. And even if you go a little bit further away, as long as you're close to the SkyTrain, you're just like 30 minutes from downtown. So it's not that further away. Like we came from São Paulo. It was normal to take 2 hours to go somewhere. So 30 minutes is not that bad.
And you can also bike everywhere. Like we live in downtown and it's pretty easy to go around here. So like I used to work in Gastown and I live on the West End. So I would just walk to work and it took me like 30 minutes to get to work, just walking. And then on my bike, it takes like 15 minutes. So it depends. Like if you don't care much about space, like we live in a bachelor and we pay $14.50 here, and it's pretty good. Like it's a very nice neighborhood. So yeah, so depends on how much space you need. So if you don't need a lot of space, it's not that bad. But yeah, if you ever want to buy, then it's another story because this is expensive to buy here.
I wouldn't recommend that though. I mean, if you make the calculations, like when you search about like how to calculate when purchasing a home is a good idea, Vancouver is way beyond that. I would never buy. I won't say I will never, but I wouldn't buy a property here. It's really expensive.
Yeah, that's why I find on the internet as well that in terms of fire, for example, because I also kind of into that thing as well, it's better to invest than buy a property. You get the more profit from it. And also, it's good that you mentioned downtown. I also wanted to ask, there is a downtown. It's this small like island, right, near the Stanley Park. But there is also like districts nearby, like Kitsilano or Grandview Woodland. And I'm curious, do you still prefer live right in the downtown, or other like nearby districts are also good, like 10-15 minutes from downtown, for example?
Yeah, like we live very close to Stanley Park, so we just walk to Stanley Park. It's like, I guess, like 10 minutes walking or something. So it's pretty good. Like the West End is really nice because it's kind of a residential area, and we have we live close to Davis Street, so it's a really nice area. Lots of little shops and restaurants, and it's close to Stanley Park, so you can go to the beach. You can play tennis. You can do a bunch of stuff. You can just run and cycle, and then you can do hikes in Stanley Park, and you can go anywhere here because it's close to the SkyTrain. So yeah, it's pretty good. I wouldn't live in other areas of downtown because like some places are not as nice, like Gastown, what is it called, Chinatown, and Hastings. Yeah, Hastings is not that nice because we have
Oh
a
yeah, I've
problem.
heard about this street a lot.
Yeah. So Vancouver has a problem with drug addiction, so it's not a very nice area to live. But here on the West End, it's pretty nice. I really like it here. But the other places we talked about, like Kitsilano, is really nice. It's a beautiful place. Very fancy though. Like it's a little fancy, like lots of mansions and stuff. But there's also some cheaper places there, and the area around Burnaby, I guess, is good as well. But yeah, there are lots of good places to live here.
We know a friend of ours. She's also into fire, and she rents a studio for $1,200 in Kitsilano. Something that I forgot to mention is that if you have pets, you pay a little bit more than if you don't have pets. So, I would say that you can find, for example, some really good options around 1,300. A couple of friends of ours, they have a kid, so they live in a basement. It's between downtown and New Westminster, which is also a good area to live, and they pay 1,300 for a 2-bedroom basement. Basement is also a good option, and it tends to be a little bit cheaper than apartment.
Yeah, like New West is really good as well. And it takes, like, if you go to New West on the SkyTrain, it takes like 40 minutes, I guess, on the SkyTrain. But now that everybody is working remotely, it's not too bad. So
yeah, and you already mentioned that you can bike around, and yeah, that's my dream really, to live in a city where you can bike or skateboard or longboard or anything around the city, because well, the cities I lived in Russia, they're not bike friendly at all. Currently, I live in Bali, and it's like opposite of you can't even walk here. So you always need to grab your bike, motorbike, and go somewhere. You can't even 5 minutes. And I really want to bike around the city or skateboard or anything.
if you like bikes, this is the perfect city because so you can bike around the seawall and you can pretty much go around the whole downtown area on your bike, and it's just by the water, and then you go around Stanley Park.
Nice. And do you guys go for surfing? Because when you're thinking about not surfing, snowboarding. Because when you think about Canada, you kind of think about snowboarding as well. I don't snowboard before, but yeah, I hope to try in Canada, in Vancouver. So do you do this?
That's actually a pretty famous city called Whistler. It's 2 hours away from Vancouver. We are actually planning on going there this year, but we can't. But you can do snowboarding and skiing. I think 2 mountains really close to Vancouver. Like it should be just like 40 minutes driving. I know because a few friends of ours do. And like if you're just like an amateur and just want to do it for fun, you can just go here in Vancouver. However, you have some other famous places around if you want to go to a more fancy.
Yeah, like you can go to Cypress Mountain and Grouse Mountain. Grouse Mountain as well. And it's like 30-40 minutes from downtown. But you have to drive, right? I guess there's a bus as well. And then you can go skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing.
Yeah. They have some car sharing programs that are really nice. So even if you want to drive eventually, you can just like rent those car sharing, one of those car sharing, and it's
That's what I wanted to ask. If you don't want to buy a car, can you survive? But yeah, if car sharing exists, it's perfect. It was a huge help in Moscow where I live because you don't want to own a car in Moscow because of the parking and it costs a lot of money. But the car sharing is really big, so yeah, that's really helps a lot. Especially if you can go to the mountain, for example, on car sharing, you can snowboarding. Yeah, that sounds great because I'm into surfing right now. Well, in Bali, it's like everything about surfing here, so I also caught up on that and I really like it. So I need some replacement for it. So yeah, I also wanted to ask if you. I'm not sure if you considered the possibility already or if you're interested at all, but I'm also interested in Canadian passport because it's kind of. I can't say it's easy, but it's kind of pretty good program as I can see because they don't force you to lost your passport that you already have from your home country, and it's considerably not so long to get Canadian passport, 3 years I believe or something.
Yeah, we plan to get the citizenship. I guess next year. Not sure, but I guess yeah. If you live here for like about 3 years, you can get the citizenship, and then you get a passport, and then yeah, it's pretty good. You have to do a little test as well, like you have to know some stuff about the country and things like that. But yeah, it should be very straightforward. And like some people might care about that, but the Canadian government also allows you to sponsor a visa for your parents or like your relatives as well. So if this is something that you would want to do, they also help with that as well.
I think it has a PR. It's like if you are a permanent resident, they open a few times a year, and I know that it's super hard. Like they close it really soon, so you have to be prepared, and the slots get fulfilled really fast. So I think that it has a PR. There is a process where you can bring, your someone from your family. But I'm pretty sure with the citizenship, it might even be easier than that.
Yeah, that's cool. I probably have a few more questions, and I've heard a lot about. Well, when you Google Vancouver or something about Vancouver, there is pop up some stuff about people not being friendly. So my question is there a thing you don't like about Vancouver or Canada in general? And maybe if this thing is not friendliness still, because I believe you came from a country where people pretty friendly. Well, I don't know many Brazilian people, but when I meet them, they're usually really nice. So is it a problem really, or it's kind of cliche, or
You're right. Coming from Brazil, it's a little bit of a cultural shock. For example, when you meet someone in Brazil, you hug them, and the next day you're playing board games together in someone's houses. It's it's a pretty warm culture. And here, you meet someone, you just say hi, and I don't know. Sometimes you shake hands, but it's a little bit different. I think this is a North American culture in general. Honestly, we were always super introvert people, and so I guess that's why we didn't feel that much of a difference, and it doesn't matter that much to us. But I do feel like it's a little bit harder to make friendships here. I don't know how much of that is because we got here, and we already got here with a job. I'm sure if you get here to for college or something, it's easier to make more friends. But when you get here as an adult, it's always more difficult to find friends, right? But I have to say that the people that I've met in the tech community, they are pretty nice. But the ones that are more, that we see each other more frequently are usually the people from Mexico or from, I don't know, like Venezuela or Colombia. It's usually those people that are more, we interact more, I would say. But just to clarify, it's not like people won't treat you like well. Everyone is really polite. It's just that it's not that easy to become friends, I would say.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't say no. I think they're pretty warm. Like they're not as warm as people in Brazil, but they are pretty warm. And I think that the Canadians, they're like very nice people. They're just like nice people, very friendly. They're not warm, but if you get to know them, they're usually pretty nice people. They try to help you, and they're always curious about things. And I think that when you work with them, I think it's easier to get to know them, especially like if you go out for drinks, for example. People here usually open up when they drink some beers and stuff. So usually I think what happens is they're a little shy, but after you get to know them and you get some drinks and they like have some whiskey or something, they open up and they're pretty friendly, they're pretty nice, and they're always trying to help you. So I would say that, yeah, it's not too bad, to be honest, at least in Vancouver. In other places, they might be different, but here in Vancouver is not too bad. And also you have so many immigrants here that it doesn't matter that much, to be honest. Like you have so many different people from different places that it's really not that bad at all.
Nice. And yeah, probably my last question. Can you get the job in United States while living on a permanent residency in Vancouver, or it's the same process as you usually go? So you need to go to the lottery or H1B, etc. I'm asking because, well, obviously U.S. jobs has bigger salaries, and especially in Seattle and San Francisco area. So yeah, I'm curious if it's a opportunity or not.
Yeah, so for people that are citizens, it's easier. So if you have a Canadian citizenship, it's pretty easy to get a job in the States and get a visa there. But if you're an immigrant here, if you're just a PR, it's a little harder. But like for me, for example, I work for an American company. They're from San Francisco, and so I'm kind of like a consultant for them. So I don't work from them directly. So I don't have a visa or a work permit to go to the US or anything like that. But it's after you have some experience here with Canadian companies, it's not too hard to get a job, at least a remote job from an American company. And then after you get citizenship, I think it's pretty easy. That's what most people do here. Like they go to like UBC, they study here, and they just go to the United States or Seattle because it pays more, right? So they go there because it pays more. But yeah, so it's not like if you're a PR, it's harder because like it's not that easy to get H1B or things like that. But you can probably work for an American company while living here. It's not that hard.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. Well, I probably don't have no question. Maybe you want to add something, like maybe is there things you don't like about Vancouver, or especially like, or you maybe I need to be prepared for, etc. If you have something to add.
Something that I don't like very much is how expensive eating out is, and it's not that great. Like the food, it's like you pay $15, $20 for something really, normal. And I don't know if this is because in Brazil we have a better culinary.
Yeah, we might have some high standards.
Although we have found recently some good vegan places, which is always better than normal food. So there is one place that is really good, but it's a little bit like we have to catch a bus to get there, so we don't go there that often, which is good because otherwise we would be spending a lot of money. So the food might be, depending where you're coming from, it's not that great.
Yeah, I think the food for me is a big thing. I miss Brazilian food, but yeah, food is expensive here, but it's hard to find something that I don't enjoy here. Like maybe taxes are high, but you get the benefits of like you get all of the benefits compared to Brazil, where the taxes are also high, but you get no benefits. So it's kind of bad. But I would say is that like when you get here and you don't have a lot of when you don't know a lot of people, you don't have a network of people. Sometimes it's hard to like it feels like they prioritize jobs for Canadians sometimes. So that's what how I feel like. Where sometimes they'd rather hire someone from here. It kind of makes sense because they kind of know the person maybe better. I don't know. So there's that. Like I feel like if you're an immigrant, there's a chance that you might get. It might be a little harder sometimes to get a job. Like sometimes you feel that you are overqualified for a job, like a tech job, but they will pay you a little less just because you don't have the Canadian experience. So this is one of the things. Like, it's not too bad, but sometimes, especially when you just got here, like when I just got here, I was making less money because I just got here. But after a year or two, it's pretty much the same. I don't feel that difference. But yeah, I guess there's that. Like, and also like if you are a junior engineer, like it's harder to get a job here. But I guess this is true anywhere, so it's not a problem with Canada. So yeah, that's the only thing I could see that could be a problem. But as I said, it's not too bad. It's just you have to like you have to be like maybe 10-15% better than the locals to get a job and things like that. So that's the only little difference that I see.
Yeah, cool. And about preparation, locals between foreigners, is there a thing in terms of apartment? Because, for example, I know in Berlin, for example, if you're looking for an apartment, usually owners prefer Germans, and there is a huge competition. So because of this, immigrants usually took like 6 to 8 months to find apartment because of this preference. Is there something like this in terms of apartments?
I think that if you get here in the summer, the competition is higher. And it might take you longer, but not, I don't think like it would take months, not so ever. Yeah. I mean, even when we got here, we stayed in an Airbnb for 15 days, and in the first week we already got a place to stay. And all you need to do, honestly, is choose the area that you want, to rent something, and go walk there and call to the numbers outside if they have, and already bring like half the deposit money, and if you like it, you can do the contract like right away. That's something that you can do. It's, some people say that it's harder. We didn't have that experience though, and it's not, I've always seen some places for rent. It's not that hard. It may be if you have pets.
And kids, right? Like sometimes people say it's harder if you have a kid.
Yeah, I don't have both, so probably a little bit easier for me. Although I've been thinking about getting a dog in Vancouver, maybe. Let's see. Well, for me, that's all the questions I wanted to ask. Thank you so much for answering them. I probably next year when I come there, I'm going to be a little bit more annoying to questions with you. I hope not to bother you too much. But yeah, I'm really excited to see you guys in Vancouver.
We hope you learned something new today. Thanks for listening. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to our podcast and subscribe to our newsletter. See you next time.